Hey everyone, in this episode we're going to be talking everything related to skylights. We're going to be talking about detailing, framing, all that kind of stuff. So let's get into it. So you might notice our frame is like humongous, and there's actually a reason for that. And the reason for that is because we're going to be installing solar panels here that are actually shingle solar panels. They're awesome, they're beautiful, they're from SunStyle. That video should be coming out hopefully this year before winter. But anyway, that said, the assembly of the solar panels effectively end up raising our height to 5 3/4 from the top of the roof. So that means it's going to be around this high. So right here you can see a 2x4 on the side and then a 2x6 vertically, so that gives us a height of 7 inches. And so we want the skylights to stick out slightly, but not too much from the final surface of the roof. That sun is blasting me. Anyway, why don't we begin with this skylight? And this skylight is actually our worst skylight frame of them all. Our other 3 skylights, they look pretty nice. They were almost perfect, but we want to show you, and we want to show you from our mistakes, because I mean, that's the best way to learn, right? First off, you might notice here that we have a couple LVL beams going on. They're double LVLs, and the intention originally was to run individual skylights, to have 3 skylights right here, so it would be 1 2 3. The problem was when we looked at the Velux, and by the way, we're using Velux, we looked at the Velux requirements for the frames. It turns out that they need a little bit more spacing that we had given them, so that unfortunately meant that we had to request a custom-made skylight that would cover all of them at the same time, instead of putting them back to back to back. So that's probably costing us a little bit extra money, but that's fine. I think this layout, this look, once we install all the drywall and everything, will make it look kind of cool, maybe artistic, hopefully, or at least that's what we're telling ourselves. So that's the reason why you see these LVLs right here. That's part of the mistake number 1. Next, what you see right here is the frame. And let's talk about frames first real quick. Velux has a requirement that these frames are slightly smaller than the actual size of the skylight. We made that mistake on the shed, so that's an easy thing to not make a mistake on anymore. The reason for that is because you need to insert all sorts of flashing, taping, making it waterproof, but also static water has pressure, so when you get ice and all that kind of stuff, it can go in between the skylight and the frame, and it can expand and potentially eventually break it. So that's also part of the reason for making it slightly smaller. They have this little screw that helps you do it. I will probably see it later in the episode. Next, what you see right here is we have a little bit of a framing mistake. Our LVLs are not perfectly square with respect to each other. So what that meant is we needed to pack this so that when we install the drywall, it actually looks perfectly nice. This is actually sticking out a little bit. So when we install the drywall, we will add some shims to the drywall to make sure that everything is nice and it doesn't have any bumps. So with that said, I think Marcela will be taking most of this episode because it'll be all detailed. So for now, I'll say goodbye.
The first thing to mention about skylights is that they are not very energy efficient, but they are a magnificent way of enhancing a space. They are relatively affordable, they don't cause any structural issues if you don't go too crazy with the sizes, so we definitely recommend them. The ones we're using are from Velux. We're not sponsored, but our architect said that these are the very best and that we shouldn't use anything else, so we trust him, and we really like the ones we have gotten. So Velux has this thing on the glass that it's a little bit curved, so it's going to add a little bit of strength to the glass. It's easier to break them if they are completely flat. These ones have a curve. Now they come with this solar shade. It's like the standard now, which is pretty nice. It's also room darkening, so we're pretty happy with them. So with that, let's go and install some of them. Now let's see how we detail this skylight. But first off, I should mention that we have all our sponsors on here, so I'm very happy about that. We have a GCP with the roof detail membrane, we have Hoover with the subsystem, and we have Sashco. So thank you to all of you, we really love you. Now let's see what we have going on here. First off, I applied a layer of GCP's roof detail membrane, and the beauty of this membrane is that it's self-healing. So we apply it, and that way when we install the frame and the screws go through, then it's going to self-heal and it's going to add that protection against water. Now the thing with the membrane is that when it's really hot, like right now in the summer, right on the roof, it kind of melts, which is a good thing. That's how it attaches to the roof. But if you step on it, then it's going to start making some wrinkles. So in order to prevent that, what I'm doing is I apply the layer of zip tape right at the border just to protect the edge of the membrane. Now with the frame in place, we're going to apply it through the roof in the transition. So I'm going to apply it right here and right here. And this is because water is really sneaky, so we want to go with the full belt and suspenders approach. Now we're going to detail the frame with the roof detail membrane from GCP. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to apply it this way, and this is going to protect this transition and this border. And then I'm going to apply a second piece that is going to come from here, and it's going to come down and then cover it this way. We're going to do this shingle style. Now you might thinking that we're going a little bit crazy on this, but yeah, maybe we are. But here's the thing. One of the main reasons for callbacks are skylights, so we'd rather do this right. The roof detail membrane has this nice thing called the Rip Cord. So what it does is it's a string that you pull and it's going to cut the paper in two, so it makes installation like this where you have a bend, it makes it quite easier. The way to do it is I like to cut a little piece of the paper, and then you just look for it, and eventually with your knife you can find it. Here's an installation tip. The membrane is a little bit flexible, so when you install it, make sure that you are just putting it here and just go slowly with your hand, because if you pull it, it's going to start creating wrinkles. And one last thing, you do not need to roll the membrane, but in my case, if it's rollable, I'm going to roll it. So here are the final steps. This is a little bit overkill, but I like to install stretch tape in one piece here in the corners because we have so many overlaps. So this is going to prevent any water from getting into any crevices. So this is one of the steps. Then I should show you this one. I also like to put zip tape where we have the membrane overlap. This is also overkill, but it just provides a smoother surface. And finally, we're going to apply zip tape as you see in the border. So that one has two purposes. One of them is going to protect the wood from the top, and it also grabs this little piece of membrane while it's attaching to the wood. And don't forget to roll it. With the waterproofing in place, it's time to start working on the flashing. So first off, I should mention something. We're not going to do the traditional step flashing, and that is because we're not using traditional shingles. We're going to have a solar roof, and it's very beautiful. You can see that in a future video. But the roof itself, it's a solar panel and the shingles, so the layout it's a little bit different. That's why we're not doing step flashing. So this is what we're actually doing. We have a little drawing here. So the dotted line, think of this as the frame of the skylight. So we're going to do this in 4 parts. First off, we're going to install the part at the bottom that has this shape, and then we're going to have the 2 sides that start at the top and then they turn and they overlap the bottom part. And finally, we have the top part that overlap both sides. So the reason for this is, think if water is coming and it's trying to get this way, it's going to slide and it's going to move straight right here. So there's no way it can get behind. And the same thing in here, when water is sliding, it's not going to get behind the bottom part because it's overlapping right here. So here we have the flashing already installed. Just so you know, we apply through the roof all around it to make sure that it's flat, it doesn't have any beddies or bulges. And then we apply staples all around the perimeter from the inside. So that's why you see those clamps right there. They're pretty much there while through the roof it's curing. I don't know if you will be able to see all the details because it's black, but you'll have to trust me on this one. So the bottom part, it's coming this way and it's folded and it goes under this other flashing part that comes on top. And then you can see the one at the top over here. So you can see it's a top piece and it's folded and it's covering right here. So this is what we were mentioning. If water is coming this way, it's going to slide into the next piece. It has no way of going behind. We're almost done with this one. The final step is going to be applying some zip tape all around it. Now with the waterproofing and the flashing complete, it's time to start installing our skylight. These ones come with shades, so the very first thing you need to do is do a dry run, put it in place. The solar ones have a button that you need to push before it starts working. You only do it once and then you use your control just to make sure that it works before you start fixing everything with Through the Roof or Lexel. So wonderful, we know that it works. So now it's time to remove the shade and apply a bit of sealant all around the perimeter. Our favorite is Lexel or Through the Roof, and we do this for 2 reasons. The main one is for air sealing, because you know that the hot air is going to rise and we don't want to lose any of that hot air. And the second one is to prevent any bugs from getting into the house.
We just installed the skylights, and one thing that's super important and you cannot forget about it. It's very important that you shim all around the skylight to account for the future drywall that you're going to insert in there. So you might be able to see these 5/8 shims that we have right there. We use 5/8 drywall and we have it all around the perimeter. It's very important that you do this because once the Through the Roof cures, it's going to be very difficult to shift the skylight if it's not properly in place. We actually got delayed on our delivery of the final custom window. Velux had some issues with glass or whatever it was. We have finished a lot of the other stuff on the roof, so now the big challenge will be to bring this up. It says not to carry it from the sides, to carry it with suckers and whatnot, so let's go, let's do it.
And here we have it, the final skylight already installed. Installing it took us maybe 10-15 minutes, but bringing it up here, that was the real challenge. It took us about 3 hours. Something interesting with this custom skylight is that it's set not to carry it like a tabletop. It's set to specifically to use suction cups. So that's what we did. If you want to check the ones we have, you can check our video for the windows. We have all the details on the tools that we used. Once we had it up here, all we had to do was apply a thick bead of through the roof, and that's to prevent air infiltration and bugs. And the last thing we had to do was install these screws. This custom skylight didn't come with screws, but I had some left, so I began installing them. I still need to install some more, but the important thing with screws is don't push them all the way through. As you can see here, this is a straight line. Don't push them, because if you do that, then the water can come in and it can get behind. So that's the important thing. When you do your flashing, make sure that you always have a way for water to get out. In here, I'm doing all this waterproofing to prevent water from coming in, but if anything gets in, it can get out from here, and from here. It doesn't matter how good you think you have done a job in preventing water from coming in, there's always a chance that something can go through, and then it's important to have a way out. And with that, we are done. So if you like this episode, consider giving us a like, subscribe to our channel, and we'll see you on the next one. Thank you. Bye bye.